Well, I've made my way across central London to track down those elusive Thompson twins, and I'm pleased to say that I've got Joe, Ilana and Tom with me here in the Arista Records boardroom, and I wanted to start off by asking you about your change in philosophy. When you were a 7-piece and a 6-piece, I think the thinking behind your music was very, very different, wasn't it, Tom?
There was no thinking behind our music. That's the difference, and the only difference.
Really? So you've become a lot more organised since then?
I think, you know, in the early days with the 7-piece, it was a happy experiment, which didn't really suffer much pressure, you know, so we never really had to figure out what we were doing and why we were doing it. But when that all fizzled out and the three of us said, okay, let's carry on and learn from our mistakes, you know, then I think we suddenly became a lot more organised in the way we did it.
It's also the difference between just doing one record or doing something for a short amount of time, and we changed our minds and decided we wanted to make a living out of what we were doing, and we wanted to work for quite a few years on songs, music.
So there was a fundamental change in philosophy then. I mean, I know that when you were a 6 and 7-piece group, you were sort of heavily involved with CND and No Nukes and all that sort of thing. Was it an effort maybe kind of discarding a lot of that and actually narrowing down?
Well, we discarded nothing in terms of our support for CND. We still support them absolutely. I think what happened is we stopped being an unsuccessful cult group and became a very successful worldwide famous pop group, you know, and that's the difference. I think it's pretty dangerous to assume that too many of the changes musically came about in a change of attitude personally. We develop, people change, and we're not the same people as we were 4 or 5 years ago.
But your politics remain virtually the same, only now we have much more power. I mean, when we say something like we are completely opposed to nuclear bombs, we get across to an awful lot more people than we did then when we were saying it every day and doing gigs for CND.
But it's much less overt, isn't it? I mean, well, it is much more played down these days.
By the same token, if we drone on and on about it, people are going to start switching off their sets. Do you see what I mean?
There's a balance between things.
So, Joe, do you think politics and music actually mix at all, or do you think that people have enough of the kind of browbeating from politicians and what have you?
Well, I can only come from my own thing. I personally have it up to here with the party politics, and we would never mix that kind of politics with what we do, but you know, in just the way we are, individuals, we tend to treat and call politics how we behave amongst people, and that is reflected in our songs, and where we come from is always in our songs. I mean, we come from personal experience and the way we are and how we see the world. So it is as political. It is political, yeah. I mean, if you don't like our songs, then you don't like us.
Ilana, bearing in mind that you're selling millions of records worldwide now, do you feel a certain responsibility, though, to the people that are buying those records and that are listening to you so closely?
Yeah, I suppose so. Our responsibility to turn out really good work instead of rubbish. To spend a lot of time on songs. To do a lot of things. I mean, for example, there are certain things you don't do in public, like, I mean, I smoke cigarettes, but I don't actually think that smoking cigarettes is a very good idea, so I never do it in photographs or on television, or very rarely. Those sort of things. Yeah, there is a responsibility.
I hear you laughing in some other room, and it makes me feel locked out. You say my passion often stifles you, and you need to move about. Well, I was taught that boys need girls and girls need boys. You say that's not true. You would rather fool around than be alone with me. Well, that's alright for you, 'cause you got love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love on your side. I bought you sentimental roses hurt to be alone. 'Cause you got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you got love, love, love on your side. Well, all the things you say make perfect sense to me, but somehow I'm still unsure that I catch myself going through the same old rhapsody. Rap boy, rap. I don't understand just what I'm doing to myself. I guess that's nothing new. 'Cause when you meet someone who doesn't follow all the rules, it changes everything you do. 'Cause you've got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you've got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you've got love, love, love on your side. 'Cause you've got love, love, love on your side. 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 You've got love, love, love on your side.
Tom, can I drag you all back to the times even before you formed the Thompson twins? You all came from fairly kind of unconventional backgrounds. I'm not sure that your childhoods were all together that happy. Would that be true?
I think I had mixed experiences in that department, you know. I mean, I had great times, but some pretty tough ones too.
Because you have been quoted as saying that you're not very close to your parents anymore and you don't feel many family responsibilities, shall we say.
That's about right.
I just wonder why that was. That doesn't always seem that normal. Some people might say, oh, look at that, a pop star, he doesn't want to know anyone anymore.
I don't think it's that, no. I think I had emotional difficulties with my family as a youngster, which never really got sorted out, you know. And so when I ran off and formed the Thompson twins, which is a bit like joining a circus, you know, to some people. It certainly was to my parents. It seemed like a bad situation, one that wasn't easily sorted out. I got so involved in this, to be honest, that I didn't have time to sort of be going and explaining what I was doing, because I actually hate justifying my next move to people. But it'll all come out well in the end, you might mind.
And in fact, Alana, I know that an unhappy home life actually sort of spurred you to come over to Britain, didn't it, and seek your fortune?
No, nothing to do. I was very happy. I had a very happy childhood. I didn't have, my father left when I was 5, so people tend to think, oh, one-parent family's unhappy childhood, which is a load of rubbish. No, I had a very, very good time. I left New Zealand because New Zealand is a very small place. You're brought up with English education, English this, English that. American is, the world exists on the other side of the planet, not in New Zealand. So, of course, that's the first thing you want to do as soon as you leave school is get on those planes and see the electricity, get the excitement, you know, which is what I did.
And what about you, Joe? Was yours quite happy?
Yeah, it was, again, unconventional. I was sort of like in a foster situation. And, but yeah, you know, lots of mischief, lots of ups and downs, and it's full of aggravation. Like,
Has it changed much, has it?
But I read one amazing quote from you which said that you didn't actually see another coloured person in your hometown until you were about 21, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, that's true. Yeah, I didn't speak to any blacks until it was about, I mean, until I got into a working situation. I used to sort of be like on the outside, and it used to be really embarrassing because people would expect me, one black, 2 blacks in a room, so you go, you know, hey bro, what it is, and all that kind of thing, and I wouldn't be able to relate to that situation at all. So it used to be quite awkward at first. And I went through a bit of regrooving, you know, to sort of get my head right.
Send them in for regrooving.
I used to, yeah, I think so. I needed a bit of regrooving on that, yeah.
Somebody's watching me. Now I'm nervous and I shouldn't be. Somebody's got their eye on me. Perhaps I shouldn't invite him up for tea.
We saw him smoking by the newspaper stand. There's something odd about his glove left hand. Saw him again inside the old cafe. He makes us tense, we wish he'd go away.
We are detectives. We are select. We are detectives. Come to collect. Somebody's after me. He left his footprints by the garden tree. Last night when I got home, I got the feeling I was not alone.
Someone is on our tail. We think they're opening up our morning mail. And now each time the telephone rings, we think of frightening things.
Dress up in disguise to get away from all those prying eyes. Our friends all think we're mad, but we know better 'cause the spy is bad.
Let's move now to the time when you did become a three-piece. I know from the outset you had your goals pretty much set, but you all decided to have very different roles within the band, didn't you, Tom?
That was just, I mean, people say there's this big thing about division of labour. It seemed like the easiest and most sensible way to get cracking, because, as I said earlier, we sort of learned from our mistakes, realised that so much had to be done. It wasn't just sort of ambling from one idea to another and seeing if it happened. You had to make it happen. And all that intention can be lost if you don't direct it very carefully. So we said, okay, let's just split it up and look after different areas. But it was nothing more than that. It's not like, Alana only does visual stuff or I just do musical stuff. In fact, it's more of a sort of loose directive role, so that when our ideas become a little bit complicated or unclear, at least one person can guide them back into shape again, and that's all it is.
It's also so you develop skills in that area. You just take responsibility for certain jobs, although we all work on the same things. And it also means that while one person is, while Tom's in there supervising mixes and stuff like that, I can be off getting a video together and Joe can be off getting a stage show together. So there's we just can split up, go. It's just organisation. I mean, anything, any company, any political group, anything. You need.
But it all arises out of the fact that we don't like other people doing it for us, which is what has to be said. A lot of groups do. They sort of stick to the music, and then someone else directs the videos, and someone else plans the stage set, which is the easy way. But in the end, we think that's not so satisfying for us as human beings, and we want to get involved in everything.
Yeah, we don't really see our music as, people sort of talk about image and they talk about this and that and whatever, but we see our music as part of a whole thing. So the music is the basis for it. So it's pointless somebody else, a stylist, coming in and dressing us or something, because they won't understand. Everything emanates from the songs we do, from the period of time that we're going through, and we need, for our own satisfaction, to reflect that in the way we look, in what we do visually, and also to learn from it. And the only way you can possibly learn and get better is by doing it yourself and making those mistakes yourself, because then you can't blame anybody else.
So what you get is a package. It is a package. It ends up being that. And some people might say, well, yuck, a package. But I mean, we are just about to enter 1985, and there's a certain realism in this.
Yeah.
And it's not the product of just a marketing department. You know, you're looking at the people who make that package. from
That's
start
right.
to
That's
finish.
interesting because cynics might actually argue that, okay, you've got a black gentleman, a white lady, another white guy, you know, it's almost the perfect device for 1985.
Well, that's just a sad reflection of the way some people think, that they think it has to be set up if women and men and black and white people hang out together. It is definitely not a set up thing.
Glowing in the dark, electrified, they fight and fuss about, reaching up the park.
Music Box on the Music Channel. 16 hours a day, all over Europe.
You all have a very special working relationship within the band. I mean, you're almost like family, I've heard it being said. Why do you think that is? Has that evolved over the years?
It's probably because we're just really good friends. We have been for like 5 or 6 years, and we develop and we know how to work with each other. If you have an intention and you say, I'm going to make this work, then we balance things off each other. We have a certain chemistry between the three of us too. And having 3 is a good number because it's always 2 against 1. It's never the same 2 against 1. And it's just a great sort of number. Possibly also like from family point of view. I think we're not like family because I think families tend to abuse each other in the name of love sort of thing. We're much more friends. We don't
We don't mind having a go at each other.
No, but you know what I mean, that abuse relationships more just because, you know, you'll be forgiven every time. Well, we don't do that. We have more respect, the respect of friends, very good friends for each other.
The press has often misconstrued your relationships within the band in commenting about your on-off relationship, supposedly with Tom, for example. Does that kind of thing really get to you and bother you? Do you think it's important?
Just a waste of time. Let them guess, you know. Keep them guessing, is it Memorex or is it that?
But is it a case of actually you winding them up and maybe manipulating them?
Yes, a lot of the time.
People come running at you saying, you know, what about this love nest or something? It's actually, in the end, you know, for the 50th time, it's pretty boring to say there isn't a love nest, you know, so you say, well, you know, and
come round and make a foursome or something?
I mean, after the first year of doing so many interviews, you get to think, people must know me, everybody must know everything, I've said everything I want to say about myself, and yet they still ask the same questions over and over again, so after a while, and then you see it in print particularly, and it's not what you said at all. So you think, oh well, if they're lying, I may as well make...
Invasion of privacy that a lot of fame brings you.
No, not at all. It's...
Invade my privates, honey. Nothing like laughing at your own jokes, is it?
No, you've got to expect it really. I mean, you'd be a bit stupid not to... It is stupid to say, oh God, I want all this, on the other hand, I want to have a totally private life, put up big walls and lock myself away and hit photographers when you arrive at airports and things like that. I suppose it depends. I'm not having a relationship that's going on in the public. So I would imagine if someone was camping out on your door and wanted to take pictures of you every time you moved and wanted to find out or making up stories about a certain, you know, a relationship you were having and hounding you, it probably might be another kettle of fish, because there must be a line where you think, hey, that's none of your business. I mean, there are times when we all say, well, it's none of your business, for sure. But in terms of invasion of privacy, there isn't any, and we gave that up.
Yeah, I think it's more just bad manners on the part of some people, that they start to treat you like they would not treat other people. They think because you're in the public eye all the time, then you're up for, they can abuse you in whatever way they want to. And we just slap them about the ears and teach them some manners. You know?
It's just learning to say no. You know, there are certain things you just won't say. And, the same goes for you, obviously. And it's, in the end, I don't think people are all that interested to know every single private detail of your life. You know, I think people are a lot more interested in the public face and how it manipulates its immediate surroundings.
But don't you think that's why so many of the trashier newspapers in Britain have such huge sales, because they deal with intimate details?
I think in a very temporary way. But I mean, a week later, who cares, you know, how many people were in the bath?
Yeah, it's very much here today, gone tomorrow.
It's of no substance or no lasting value.
In fact, that might well be one of the reasons why you're working in Paris, isn't it? Because, Tom, you were telling me earlier that you're not that well known over there, and it's nice to be able to operate with some level of privacy.
I thought you were going to say the sex is good over there.
No, that's the next question.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know quite why, but we've always neglected Paris in our, you know, promotional pushes here, there and everywhere, and so we're not too famous. It's great, we can walk the streets and don't get hassled for autographs all the time.
Yeah, because we wrote the first part of the album in Ireland. We actually hired this house in the middle of nowhere. It was a castle, it was a fortress, you know, locked ourselves in the whole thing and started writing, but I mean, word just spread so fast. We sold lots of records in Ireland. And we had like 30 people a day coming knocking on the door for autographs, and they were so nice you couldn't say no, and they were bringing babies up for us to kiss and bless. They went on and on, there were people camping in the gardens, and it just got really outrageous, and we didn't end up doing a lot of work, so we thought we've got to go somewhere we can just lock ourselves away.
And Paris is sort of convenient, you know, from London where we do a lot of our work. And it's a nice place in its own way, you know.
It's good to get out in an English-speaking country, because it can get routine, and oh yeah, this is the writing period or another recording period. And one of the things we wanted to do was to work in a city, because we had the choice. We could have made the album in the country, down in the south of France, but we thought no, the city would give it that extra, well, something. And also, It's just just going shopping. You know, you're up for a little bit of explanations and people misunderstanding what you want, and because of all the broken French that's going around. so it really keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, and you sort of get back to...
You're like a child again, almost. You're really subject to people's moods, because if they don't want to understand you, they just won't, and they'll rabbit on, or just ignore you totally, and you're left holding these sort of broken French words in your hand. And, no, what a drag. But you're awake a lot of the time.
And it's quite good for
stimulating.
remembering what it was like before. Like, you know, when you used to go out dressed like this, and you weren't famous, and the way that people treat you when you just look a bit strange, it's like bad news. But you forget, because when you're famous, it's like you may look strange, but everybody wants to know you, sort of thing, or there's a reason for why you look strange, because they're in whatever. Whereas in Paris, you know, I mean, people just look at you and they don't serve you, and they don't. Yeah. And it's good for you, that's what
it's funny, because we had our car towed away, and we had to go to the police station, and we had quite a lot of problems there, didn't we?
Yeah, we had no ownership papers, and we spent about 6 hours trying to convince them that it really was our car. I mean,
and
you know,
Thompson twins, forget it, we didn't even bother mentioning them.
Ambitious, aren't they? I mean, You Take Me Up, for example, had a plot to it as well.
Yeah. Well, what we do is we just make these crazy mistakes. We'll do a performance video, and then we think, oh, let's do a plot video. We get carried away with an idea in the story, so we go and do it, and then we look at it and go, yeah, that's great, but... And then we always strip down and go back to simple things again.
Joe, do you find it difficult to act in those videos? Because I know a lot of pop stars feel very uncomfortable in front of a camera.
It's taken a time to sort of just relax in front of... When we first started, we were quite wooden in a way, because there are expectations. You have no self-concept of how you're going to be. It's a bit like hearing your voice for the first time on, you know, if you've got a tape recorder at home and you hear this voice come back, and you think, that's really funny. And but as time goes on, we tend to have, well, I think personally, just to relax now, and what happens tends to be that you get a warmer, a more natural thing. Playing an instrument helps as well, because it's like being at home again. I played a double bass in this last one. It's almost automatic, and which we've been doing for the last 2 days, in fact. So that helps a lot, because you're back on home territory, and things that you can relate to, rather than I am the actor. Now we have this plot that's happening, and we've got to convey in a few seconds surprise. And all that kind of stuff, which is hopeless, really.
You have to admit, though, that a lot of pop stars do fall into that trap, don't they?
Well, it's inevitable, isn't it? It is inevitable, and the rough thing about it is that you make all your mistakes there and then. Everyone can see them, regardlessly.
I work on the front line. I work to survive. I sleep in a fever, so this is my life. Cry in my sleep, cry boy, just makes me weep when I try how I try. I know what it means to work hard on machines, it's a labor of love, so please don't ask me why. I'm looking for reasons, day in, day out, trying too hard. He's trying too hard, moving in circles, too hard, don't get very far, don't get very far. Should I ask you to dance? Dance boy, dance boy. If I promise romance, would you come for the ride? I know what it means to work hard on machines. Do you believe in love, one that lasts for all time? Take me up, oh, take me up to a higher ground. You take me up so high, now I never wanna come back down. I'm glad in these hard times, there's hope while. You take me up, oh, you take me up to a higher ground. You take me up so high, now I never wanna come back down. You take me up, oh, you take me up to a higher ground. You take me up so high, now I never wanna come back down.
Can I ask you a bit about the new musical direction of the Thompson twins? I think heralded by some of the Into the Gap album. You're moving away from synths, really, aren't you, and getting more into guitars? Would that be a fair appraisal?
Yeah, for us the instrumentation doesn't really come first, especially not these days. What's fundamentally important to us is writing the songs. And then once you've written a great song, it becomes a burning obsession to translate that as well as possible onto tape and eventually onto record. So if it takes a guitar or a synthesizer or whatever, then that's what it takes. We're not too choosy about saying it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And in that sense, I think we're part of a new era of musicians. It's not like one of us is a bassist, one a drummer and one a guitarist or something, so every song has got to have those three things on it. We're actually multi-instrumentalists, and we're not all that fussy about which ones go where, as long as it suits the song. So I think that was the breakthrough you were talking about with Into the Gap. We suddenly stopped saying, okay, our songs are about drums, synthesizers, percussion and vocals, which is how we'd sort of seen the previous album, certainly.
Because you did spring to prominence at a time when synth bands were becoming popular, but as you know, fashions in the music industry changed very quickly, and only a couple of years later, here you have a backlash against synthy pop type groups, don't you?
Oh, well, we still use synthesizers very heavily. I mean, we've just invested in a Fairlight, which Tom and Joe have been using. So we're not moving away from synths at all. They're a very, very good instrument.
It's the sound, I think, is the backlash against the synth sound. We've never used a synthesizer and had that kind of cliched synthesized sound. We've used synthesizers to bring a texture and an availability of instruments which we couldn't have used. I mean, where do you get an orchestra from if that's what you see? It's just impractical. So we went to that. When we first, the three of us, just stripped down to the three of us, one of the things that we needed to do was to be able to write very quickly. And Tom had the OBX, which meant that we could do that kind of thing. And we have a drum computer, which meant that you can turn the volume down and still get on working late into the night when we were actually living in a terraced house, and so as not to disturb a lot of people. And those using technology to a really practical extent.
We still very much are into mixing high-tech synthesizers, whatever, drum machines, computers, digitals, everything, with very old traditional forms of music. And that is how we see 1984, 1985, I mean, where we live. You have television cameras, you know, we sort of sit here and smell a bit, you know. That's life.
She lives in a big white house. And all the rooms are lemon, and she's devoted to life, keeping this house just right. Weekends perfectly nice. She doesn't talk when he comes home at night, no. Oh, sister of mercy, oh, don't cry for me. No, sister of mercy, it's all alright for me. 25 years sits in a big white chair in a room that's not so different to the one back there. She turns her face to the light. She's blinded by her light. You can hear her cry alone at night. No sister of mercy, oh, don't cry for me. No sister of mercy, it's all alright for me. So have mercy on that woman. You don't know the way it's been. You don't know the trouble her eyes have seen. Can you feel the kiss of light when you come home at night? Well, you better not turn your back on a paradise. Whoa. No sister of mercy, oh, don't cry for me. No sister of mercy, it's all alright for me. Sister of mercy, a sister of mercy, oh, a sister of mercy, a sister of mercy, oh, no sister of mercy, oh,
Alana, I know you take a lot of interest in the video side of the Thompson twins. What sort of images do you look for when you're trying to put the Thompson twins' music down onto film?
I look for emotion, really. I look for just trying to translate a song into visuals, not literally, but just emotion-wise. And I didn't really discover that that's what I was looking for until we'd done maybe 5 or 6 videos. I think Sister of Mercy, in fact, which was the 8th video, was the one that was a real breakthrough. In terms of then I knew that's what it was about. It's like emotion is the most important thing to try and get, not a load of sort of interesting images all put together, which is what most videos and what some of ours have been as well in the past. But a lot of it was trial and error. None of us knew anything about video until the day we stood in front of video cameras for the first one we made, which was Lies. And it was just so embarrassing. We were so self-conscious. The whole thing was just disaster from beginning to end, and us feeling we had lacked control and didn't know enough. And it was after that that I got into it and started learning about video and writing the scripts to try and translate our songs, instead again of giving the song to a company or a director and saying, here, write a script for this and tell us what to do. We started doing it ourselves.
In fact, your earlier videos were quite simple in many ways. It was you performing the song, wasn't it? Albeit done in quite a clever way often.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that the most effective videos are still performance videos, if they're done in a really interesting way. I just think it's extremely difficult to put a story, a plot, and not confuse an audience in 3 minutes. And the latest one we've done for Lay Your Hands on Me is again a performance video, only it's got a very good twist to it in terms of the audience, so you have to watch the audience.
You're not able to tell us any more than that just yet, are you?
Well, what happened was, I mean, these things come about in strange ways. We wanted to do a performance video because, and a really good quality one for the song, because it is a love song, it is very simple and it doesn't need a lot of things. But the twist of it was we came back from being away, came back to England, and it was Christmas single time and everybody's at each other's throats. It's like heavy competition. Bands are slagging off bands, and there's like, you know, the record companies are doing these extravagant promotion, and it just seems so funny. We thought it was really funny. So what we did was we thought, well, we'll get all those people from all those bands who are our competition, in inverted commas, into our video and get them singing our song. well, we couldn't get the real ones, so what we did was get lookalikes. So there we've got everybody in there singing Lay Your Hands and grinning, you know, celebrating our song. I thought that was just fun. I mean, I like humour in lots of things, music, clothes, things.
You're kind of sad and inspired. Well, it almost seemed too much. I see your face and sense the grace and feel the magic in your touch. Oh, lay your hands on me. Back and forth across the sea, I have chased so many dreams, and I have never felt the grace that I have felt in your embrace. I was tired and I was cold, yeah, with the hunger in my soul. When it almost seemed too much, I see your face and sense the grace and feel the magic of your touch. Oh, lay your hands on me. Ooh, lay your hands on me. Oh. Now you made me feel so good. Yeah, like I never ever thought I would. You know you make me feel so strong. And now our laughter just goes on and on. So come on, lay your hands on me. As close to you is where I really wanna be. And if it ever gets too much, I see your face and sense the grace and feel the magic in our touch. Oh, lay your hands on me. Ooh, lay your hands on me. Lay your hands on me. Lay your hands on me.
One thing that has changed, though, I think, just of late, is your dress, certainly. I notice you're all modelling very expensive-looking silks. What's the story behind
No,
that?
actually, dear, not silks. They're
Really?
satins, and satin is quite cheap acrylic fabric. They just look very glossy.
Ah, I see.
They're quite good. We were in Ireland, and I saw this, went at somebody's house, and there was this amazing painting oil of an opium smoker, and he had all these drapes and things, and I sat there for like 2 hours, fascinated by the sort of isolation and the decadence of it, and sort of came back and just started casting my eye about for these sort of clothes. So
It's
we
funny
just
the
got
way
them.
things move across a whole spectrum, because you do photo sessions, and we read magazines, or you talk with people, friends, and then of course you meet other groups and the rest of it. And broadly speaking, ideas do translate, well, intuit themselves across. When we came out with The Gap, it was just surprising how suddenly a lot of groups had started using maps in their schema of things. And it's the same with clothes in a lot of ways. Things tend to just, in a broad sense, just move right across a period. It's like a mood, really, a mood you're in.
Yeah. And there's also, again, a certain amount of irony, tongue-in-cheek and humour involved in it. Like, you know, people say to us, oh, you must be really rich now. you know, you sold millions of records. I mean, sure, honey, we're rich and we're still wearing plastic. That's, I mean, you know, it's like fun to dress and things, but do it, you know, sort of stupid manner.
You mentioned decadence there, I must say. I was taken in because, as I say, looking at your expensive looking dress and bearing in mind that you've been to one or two very expensive parties, I'm thinking notably of the Victor Lowndes bash that you held at his country house, he being the ex-Playboy boss, of course. I thought, have the Thompson twins really gone for it, you know?
Well, he didn't attend, you know, we didn't invite him because it was nothing to do with
the
him
only
whatsoever.
reason that we did it in his house was because we'd rather trash his house than any of our mates' houses.
So it wasn't a question of landing your Learjet on the lawn then or anything?
Definitely not, but it was just
We spent a few bob, though.
It was just a lot of fun. We wanted a real big sort of whoop it up, full of a fantasy type
Yeah,
party.
we don't often have much time, you know, to like just do batty things because we work really hard. So if we're going to have a party once a year, then instead of having 5 parties a year, we'll have one really outrageous one.
See, what it costs for that party, people would spend on a full-page advertising campaign in the music press in England. We left out the adverts, just had the party and got just as much press out of it.
And had a good time as well, no doubt.
Had a brilliant time.
Yeah, the stories were circulating around London for weeks afterwards, I can tell you. Anyway, thanks for joining me today.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
Good
very
to see you.
much. Okay.
She lives in a big white house, and all the rooms are lemon, and she's devoted to life, keeping this house just right, weekends perfectly nice. She doesn't talk when he comes home at night, no. Oh, Sister Rockman,